going on, guys? As the game's just wrapped up, Florida loses. There was a little brawl or a little skirmish, I think I should say. Good grief! What a game! What an absolutely terrible game. From Florida, this is the Gators final report. If you're new to this, I've done this after every single Gator game. I'm Dylan Denmark, host of On the Mark with Denmark. How this show works is I basically give you my opinions and my comments on what's happened from the game, and you drop your comments, and I'll try to answer what I can. Boy, Billy Napier's got a lot of work to do. My goodness. If you're just now listening to us, this is the voice of college football. Make sure we're subscribing to the YouTube channel. All the channels, the Gator channel is up to almost like 480 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000. The SEC channel is rocking good, right around 14,000. And, of course, the voice of college football with Mark Rogers that he does almost regularly every single night. Okay. I want to start here. Offense. I would love to know what Dan Mullen saw out of Emory Jones at all throughout the entire season. Emory Jones was the same dude from when he played Florida Atlantic in week 1 all the way up to now. The dude could not make the throws. The dude overthought too much. The dude just, times he made plays with his feet. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yes, Anthony Richardson got hurt the South Florida game, so he had to play Emory in the Bama game, and then the same thing happened for South Carolina when he got hurt in the hotel. I would love to know a descriptive reason why Dan Mullen went with Emory Jones other than just loyalty. That's number one. Emory Jones missed like 3 touchdowns. Trenton Whittemore missed a touchdown. Damian Pierce, who only got more than 10-plus carries once all season, got 8 carries in the first quarter, and then it was looking good in the second quarter. I mean, there was Florida's only drive in the first half was when they pretty much ran it right down their throat. Then they abandoned it. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember Damian Pierce being on the field much. It was mostly Malik Davis in the backfield. I think Damian Pierce, he had 10 carries in the first half. I think he finished around 13, which, again, doesn't make any sense. He's your best playmaker on offense. And he was the best playmaker in the game and never got the ball in the second half. That doesn't make any sense to me. As I'm trying to find the box score, which is right here. Yeah, George, optimistic about the future. That's the only way to be. As Damian Pierce finished with 13 carries. So he had 3 carries in the second half. Damian Pierce finished with 13 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. Emory Jones finished with 14 for 36. He had more incompletions than he needed completions. Big dog Brett. Dan Mullen was planning on leaving, didn't care about Florida. Oh, yeah. I mean, one foot was already out the door. Yeah, especially after that South Carolina game when the players didn't show up, it looked like, yeah, that was the final straw for me. Defensively, so Hopper gets ejected. Hopper gets ejected. I don't know about you guys, but that dude was balling tonight, and he didn't play much at all last year and this year. Specifically the middle linebacker position that Florida, when Ventrell Miller got hurt against South Florida, didn't have an answer, so they had to put Jeremiah Moon. They put all kind of guys in the middle linebacker position, and it had all kind of sorts of different alignments in the front 7. And that dude balled out tonight. Now, he got, in my opinion, what was a BS call, that punch. He pushed the offensive lineman, Should have got a 15-yard penalty instead. He gets ejected. Wouldn't have mattered. Florida would have lost the game anyway. And UCF, my goodness, how many gadget plays did they have? How many reverses did they have? Screen passes did they have? And Florida didn't have an answer for it. I mean, there were so many times where the defensive end went and set the edge and contain. He gets outside and makes a big play for 20, 30 yards and sometimes even a touchdown. But that's pretty much representative of how Florida's season was. Hopefully Justin Shore's okay. That was pretty scary at the end. I know people want to talk about, he's only a junior. He still has one more year. You never know those situations, what the injury can be like. I just hope he can, be like a normal person, walk around, and hopefully he doesn't have any, any damage to his head or brain. It looked like he took a shot to the ribs, even though ESPN didn't really show a replay of it. But they said he was talking to the medical staff. So there's that. But Florida finished at 6-7. See your comments, Jeff. I'll get to that in a second. Florida finished at 6-7. Florida was a 6-point favorite again. They haven't covered a spread since they played Vandy, which is pretty hard to do. Florida was a 3.5-point favorite against FSU, didn't cover, the one by 3. 9-point favorite against Missouri, obviously lost that game. Double digits against South Carolina, and Samford did cover against Samford, lost against South Carolina. Just an abysmal season for Florida. It was expected to be a good year, and Napier is going to have a lot of catching up to do. He got a couple dudes in the at signing day. Got the huge safety Wilson out of IMG. Got a linebacker. I think he finished with like 7 commits at early signing period. Couple guys went to the transfer portal. Diabate, I don't think, played tonight. Copeland played. Valentino was like a late scratch for whatever reason. Valentino was expected to play, and then literally like minutes before kickoff, he tweets out that he's not going to play. Obviously, Bogle, who's one of Michigan State, he didn't play tonight. So there's that. Going forward with Billy Napier, there's a lot of holes on this team. You have to fix this receivers group if you're an offensive guy. No one's a deep threat. No one's really a threat to go down the field. There's nobody, if you're playing any team, if you're playing LSU, Georgia, A&M, even Utah week 1, there's no, if you're a defensive group, there's no one really offensively on the outside for Florida. That really scares me. It gives me, keeps me up at night. Florida's offensive line needs more depth. And, I mean, they didn't play at all. They didn't play well at all tonight. I mean, I know Emory Jones didn't play well, but there was a lot of times where he didn't even get any, time to throw. A couple of times, dudes were just being left unblocked, and he was getting hit as he threw. Defensively, Diabate's in the portal. I have no idea if he's going to come back or stay. I would expect him to leave. And you're left with, I think, 4 or 5 interior linebackers on the roster. You need a middle linebacker. You need someone you need a safety. I feel like Florida hasn't had a good safety since Keon O'Neal, which has been 5-6 years. Kyrie Elam's probably going to go to the draft. So you have Marshall on the other side. So we'll see, who that other corner who that will be when they step up. Although one thing Napier has that McElwain, Mullen, and even you can even go back to Urban Meyer. I won't probably go that far back. Is Napier has a quarterback, so with him having his quarterback, that can fill in for a lot of holes. But the only question is, can Anthony Richardson stay healthy? The best availability. The best ability is availability, and if Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy, or if he continues to run and gets these hamstring injuries and ankle issues, whatever, it won't matter what Florida does, how good Florida is if he's not on the field. Um, so that's a big thing for Florida going forward. And he wasn't able to play tonight. He had surgery. There's going to be a lot of details going forward that will come out eventually with his story about him having surgery, I'm sure. Jack Miller, Jack Miller. So this is the interesting thing about Jack Miller coming to Florida that was kind of a head scratcher to me. So, by the way, this is the Gators Final Report. If you're just joining us, I'm Dylan Denmark, host of On the Mark with Denmark. Make sure you guys are subscribing to all the YouTube channels at the Voice of College Football. Anthony Richardson is a dual threat quarterback, and Miller is a pocket passer. Miller, if you don't know, was from Arizona. Broke a couple of records there, was a really good quarterback for Starling, goes to Ohio State, and decided he was going to transfer just like Quinn Ewers did. Miller being a pocket passer and Anthony Richardson being a dual threat is not saying that it can't work. This is the big example I use. The Ravens the other night, obviously their quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Dual threat guy, can run around. Their backup quarterback, Huntley, is nearly the same exact quarterback as Lamar Jackson. Those two guys, Miller and Anthony Richardson, are two completely different guys. So that'll be interesting to see what Florida does, especially, I know, like I said earlier, if Anthony Richardson can't stay healthy and you're running two different quarterbacks that run two completely different systems. Not saying that it can't work, but I thought it was really odd that, maybe Napier knew him. Someone on the staff knew him before, when he was in high school recruiting him. I don't know the answer to that, but I thought that was kind of odd. So that's what the quarterback situation. Williams says, why didn't we see young running backs? Why didn't we see young receivers? Seniority, shaking my head. Yeah, I wish we would have seen a lot more younger guys play tonight. I wish we would have seen Marcus Burke. He got a couple of catches this season, didn't play tonight. I don't think Naquan Wright could have played. I think he was hurt. I could be wrong on that. The only two running backs that were playing were Malik Davis and Dameon Pierce. And Dameon Pierce only got 3 carries in the second half, 10 in the first, 8 in the first quarter. No Lingard, no Bowman. Good Lord, all the hype coming out of camp for Bowman was he was expected to take off. Never even saw the field, pretty much. So that is one thing, though. So Napier, you have a really good running back group, and you have a quarterback. Hopefully Richardson is a full go come springtime, which he should be. But he has a lot of holes to fix for this upcoming season. And it's not going to be easy. You have Utah, and then you play your first 6 of 7 games are at home, and then you play Tennessee and Kentucky, 2 teams that are on the rise. Kentucky reels in, I think, a top 20 class. Missouri finished just outside the top 10. Tennessee had another decent class, and Tennessee's on the rise, especially with Heupel. Hooker, the quarterback, is coming back for another season. So it's not going to be easy. I would probably say right now 8-4 would be a good year for Florida next year, considering you're playing the Pac-12 champ Utah week 1. You're playing a couple of good teams in that home stretch, and then you play a gauntlet of LSU at home, bye week Georgia, and then at A&M. And all those rosters are significantly better right now than Florida's is. So we'll see. If you guys are just now joining in, thank you guys for watching and clicking into the show at the Gators Final Report. This is always at the Voice of College Football, the SEC, and the Gator channel. Make sure we subscribe to those channels and give a thumbs up, as Mark Rogers always has content coming at the Voice of College Football if you guys are interested in that. It says, so I don't know how true this is, but Corey Bender of On3 Sports he writes for the Gators. He said, Tyrone Hopper, he spoke with his dad, and he said that a UCF player spit in his face, and he was about to walk away, which resulted in him shoving a player, and then he got ejected. So there's that's a little more context as to why that happened. Again, if you didn't see it, he got ejected for a punch. It was more of a shove, but I didn't really understand that. Should have been a 15-yard penalty, and that would have been it. But it is what it is. Trying to see if any quotes have came from the post-game conference so far. It doesn't look like they've hit the locker room yet. A lot of players are still on the field. New coaching staff comes in. Thank goodness for Florida season's finally over. UCF gets their big win. I mean, this game meant a lot more to UCF than it did for Florida. Not saying that that's an excuse, but when when it comes to these bowl games, a huge factor is motivation and how much the two dudes want to play. And UCF just wanted to play more. Florida wanted to in the first half, but UCF just wanted a little bit more in the second half. Florida, what was the halftime score? 10-9. And then they just nothing could get on offensively. There was so many times where Emory Jones missed a dude wide open down the field. Whittemore on the trick play underthrows his guy. So we'll see. We'll see what the future's like going forward. I'm optimistic about Napier. I like the hire. As I'm seeing Jet drop a comment, he said ULL's quarterbacks this year accounted for a ninth of their rushing yards, about 340. I don't think Napier's looking for a dual threat like Tebow type of mold. Yeah, one thing that I do know about Napier, or I've heard, should say, is that Napier doesn't really have like a specific offense. He navigates and he moves to whatever's needed, So Richardson more being a dual threat, he'll navigate to whatever that offense needs to be. And if Miller's the guy, then Miller will be, he'll change the offense for that too. So, I mean, the dude has a pretty good track record. Everything that I've seen, no one's said anything bad about the guy. And Florida wanted normal. Florida wanted a guy that could come in that wasn't awkward in the media, not anybody like McElwain or Mullen. They wanted a guy that could, Scott Strickland wants a person that goes to baseball games, to softball games, to basketball games, and is a part of, the university, a part of the student body. And Napier looks like he's that guy. But, time will tell. So we'll see. I'm not – he's hiring a staff. The staff looks good. Corey Raymond from LSU was a huge get. So, if he's able to get a pipeline of defensive backs like he did at LSU, I mean, Florida has, had a pretty good recent history of defensive backs. They just haven't been good once they get most of them to the NFL compared to LSU. So you have two guys, Napier and Raymond, who have a nice pipeline from Louisiana. Raymond wanted to get an interview for the LSU job, never got an interview from the LSU job. Raymond leaves LSU, so that dynamic between Florida and LSU is interesting. And then if you add another level, according to reports, Brian Kelly wanted an interview for the Florida job and was never even they didn't even consider him because Strickland wanted Napier and they had one interview and that was it. So that'll be really interesting to see going forward what that'll be like. Yeah, so this was from, if you guys didn't see, this is from The Athletic. This was written from, I think, Bruce Feldman. I think this was mid-November when this came out. Reason why SEC coaches said this team was soft and disciplined and doesn't play hard is because it's true, yeah. And it starts up top, I mean, what you allow will continue to happen. And this was a team that, my good Lord, how many penalties did you see from this Florida team? There was one drive UCF had. I keep wanting to say UFC. Central Florida had one drive where The ball bounced off on the front line. Florida, I don't know how they missed the ball. They run right by it. UCF recovers it. And I think right after that, there was two. Dexter gets the personal foul, and then there's a pass interference. That's 30 yards. The ball moves straight into field goal range, and then I forget what UCF did right after that. So many false starts. That was a recurring issue all year long, especially anytime Florida was away from home. False starts were a big issue. No one was more glaring than good Lord, the Kentucky game when they had, what was it, eight false starts. So hopefully Napier fixes that. And because you can't, it's hard to be really good teams when you shoot yourself constantly in the foot over and over again. Johnson drops in. Kitna, another backup quarterback for Florida. He said he's really good having the coach by his father was a professional quarterback. Yeah, I think he's a little far down the depth chart because remember you still have so you have Miller coming in, you have Anthony Richardson, and you have Del Rio. So I think Kitna more than likely will probably transfer out. Or if he does stay, he'll probably never see the field. My opinion. So I'm not sure what Kitna will do at quarterback. As I'm watching this Titans 49ers game, and Titans won. But yeah, Florida comes out. They didn't really. It seemed like from a lot of the quotes before the game that a lot of players wanted to play. Damian Pierce being one of them, Valentino being one of them. He was a really late scratch. Literally moments before kickoff. Zachary Carter didn't play. The defensive line played well. I wish I would have seen more of Damian Pierce. And then he never got any touches in the second half. Again, he had 8 carries in the first quarter, 13 total. So he had 3 in the second quarter and then 3 for the entire second half when he was the guy that was the reason Florida scored Florida's first touchdown. They went right down the field. And Damian Pierce is going to be a dude that he's going to ball out in the NFL. He'll be a second, third round pick. If he goes to a good team with a decent offensive line, he'll be. I think he'll be a really, really, really good running back. But wasted year for the coaching staff and how they used Damian Pierce. Pretty much just like a lot of what this year was. We know that Emory Jones is not the guy. Anthony Richardson has to be the dude going forward. The only question is the dude's health. And how good, how healthy can he be? What that issue is and how can it be fixed? Because, he's such a big dude and, him being such a quick, twitchy athlete, if those issues can be fixed, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's, I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever it is, for Florida, hopefully that issue gets resolved. So we shall see. Williams says, hit that like button. Thank you. I'm glad Napier didn't keep any of Mullen's staff because even the coach Savage, he preached not dropping the rope and don't quit. This team did the exact opposite. Yeah. Yeah, usually when a new guy comes in, it's very rare that you ever see any guys stay. Specifically the strength and conditioning coach. The strength and conditioning coach is usually the guy that's usually eye to eye with the head coach, and Savage probably doesn't have any previous relationship with Napier, and Napier probably already has this guy from Louisiana. So I know a lot of Florida fans wanted to see Coach Savage. I know a lot of players wanted to keep Coach Savage, but that's not really how the business works. It's all about relationships, and your strength coach is probably the most important hire. One of the most important hires that head coach will make. So Coach Savage isn't no longer going to be there, and Napier got his own guy. as Napier continues to fill out his own staff. Staff looks decent so far. We get the USC receivers coach, Corey Raymond, DB's coach, probably have a say-so in the defense as well. So we'll see. But, guys, let me know your comments on the game tonight. Yeah, sometimes if players want to coach, that's not a good sign. Florida comes up short. I can't remember what the final score was, 26-17, 29-17. Florida kind of came out flat. Really in the second half, I thought they came out wanting to play early, but this was UFC. I'll say it again. This was Central Florida's Super Bowl. They really wanted this game. A lot of these guys are from the state of Florida. A lot of these guys weren't recruited from Florida, and then so you add that to the mix, and then good Lord, how many UCF fans were at the game compared to Florida? I don't know what the number was split wise, but it definitely felt like Central Florida fans were a lot louder than Florida. Emory Jones missed way too many throws, just like he did all year. Florida didn't contain. There were so many times where Florida didn't contain on the reverses, didn't hold the responsibilities on the screenplays, and that's how UCF got a lot of their big plays. UCF just connected on more plays than Florida did, and had Florida connected with Shorter on the post, had Whittemore connected with Gamble. On the 4th and 5, had Emory Jones just throwing the hitch to Copeland on the 4th and 5 at the sticks when he was wide open instead of throwing it to Wells when Wells fell. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, but that's not how the game goes. But luckily the season's over. This season needed to end just for the sanity of the program. And a new chapter starts. Hopefully Napier's the guy, and hopefully he's the guy for many years to come. And it's gonna be pretty tough because you play, your first year, you play Utah week 1, you play Tennessee and Kentucky pretty early. And then toward the middle of the season, you play LSU. You play LSU at home, bye week, Georgia, A&M, and then you have Missouri and FSU. FSU just brought in pretty good class. Missouri brought in, I think, last I saw, the 11th recruiting class in the country. So it's going to be a tough road ahead, and Florida needs a lot of work done to both lines of scrimmage. That would be probably the biggest thing that needs to be fixed. You need receivers, and a lot of this will be from the transfer portal. And, I wonder how many guys will be coming from the second signing class, because the way college football is now, just look at what Alabama's done last week. They got Eli Ricks from LSU, probably the best DB in the transfer portal. He was, if you don't remember, in 2019, he was an All-American. And then you got Gibbs. Gibbs is probably the best running back in the transfer portal in the country, and he's also going to Alabama. And this was a young Alabama team this year with a lot of guys coming back for next year. A lot of these coaches now, when deciding between the transfer portal and high school, most of these guys are going to go to the transfer portal for a couple of things. One, the transfer portal, you're getting a more experienced person. You're getting a more mature person, usually a guy that's 19, 20, 21 years old, compared to someone straight out of high school. That's number one. Number two, when you come from a transfer portal, you no longer have that free year. If you're in high school, you can enter the transfer portal and you can have a free year, and you can do, you can pretty much leave and, not have that person. If that person's coming from the transfer portal, there's more of a likely of a chance that person's going to stay. So for Miller, there's more of a likely of a higher chance that he will stay the rest of his college career at Florida compared to a quarterback coming straight out of high school. So that's two main reasons why you're seeing so many guys, coaches, and teams go to the transfer portal. And there's over 2,000 people in the transfer portal. So I mean, this is the new college football and where what it is right now. Johnson, thanks for chiming in. He says, building a team in the trenches, the only way to do it, you need to have the best players on the line. I've never seen a team with an elite O and D line at the top level. Yeah. What's made Alabama so great all these years is, they can go 8-9 deep with their defensive line and there's no drop off. It seemed like you saw with Ventrell Miller, he was middle linebacker, and then there was no middle linebacker behind him. There was Jeremiah moving the edge rusher. Florida had to move into Mike, and that's you can't. Every team is going to get hit with injuries throughout the season, at any level of football, and for you to win games in the middle of the season, and when you get to November, you have to have depth. You have to have depth at the line of scrimmage, and you have to have depth really everywhere. So that has to be Napier's MO going forward. UF should have refused. The bowl invite, didn't deserve to be there, and now they're just embarrassed the program. They only had a few practices for this game. Lose all the way around. Yeah, I mean, if this game doesn't mean anything to me, in my opinion, for Florida. Florida, I don't think this means anything to. I don't think this hurts recruiting. I don't think this hurts the program going forward. This is pretty much just an exhibition game that just meant a lot to UCF because of everything that surrounded them and everything that the game should have happened, and then UCF didn't come to a deal, even though Florida has played them in 2024. So these freshmen will be playing UCF again if they stay to be seniors. I don't agree with that. I don't think this was a bad, I don't think this is a black eye or anything for the program. Florida went out there without a head coach, without a defensive coordinator, without an offensive play caller, without their starting quarterback, without Carter's a starter, Valentino's a starter. Who else? I'm trying to think. There was somebody else that wasn't able to play. So, and it's also too, you have to think a lot of this coaching staff is gone. They're going back to Gainesville tonight. They'll clean their office and that's it. So, I mean, you have to think about that too. They're in an odd situation too because, Dan Mullen's been fired, so they're all more than likely going to leave. And they're trying to find other jobs to make sure their butt's safe. And they still have to coach a team. So it was really an odd spot for Florida. But I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't have really mattered if they didn't go. The biggest thing when you get a bowl game is you have those 15 extra practices. And what Florida did is 15 extra practices. I don't know. How much Napier went to those practices or if he spent all his time recruiting during that time. So it doesn't really matter to me. Central Florida this was their Super Bowl game, meant a lot to them. They can, they can put it together a 3-mile banner of state champs like they did for the 2017 national championship. So Jet follows up. It's a huge stain not only to lose to UCF, but when they aren't even one of their best teams. Yeah, it wasn't one of their best teams, but I mean, it just I think this will be. I think for Florida, this will be lost by after the new year. I just don't think it matters much to anything. I don't think. I don't know. I don't make of it much. Make much of it. I didn't really care about the game. Even if Florida lost, I mean, what would it meant? I mean, I don't think Florida's going to get any recruits that they wouldn't have gotten because I mean, the guys that are UCF commits and Florida commits are two different classes. I don't think, Florida's trying to get any guys from UCF. So that's my 2 cents on the bowl game. If you guys are just now joining us, you can catch any of the archived content. As we're 35 minutes in, we'll probably wrap this up here in the next 5-10 minutes. This is the Gators final reports as we are on the Gators and the SEC channel, the Voice of College Football. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribe to the channel, smash that subscribe button. Help get our subscribers up on the Gator channel. The SEC's up 14,000. The Gator channel's right at like 470, 480. We would appreciate it. Me, Mark Rogers, and company would really appreciate it, as I'll still be giving out content on the Gators through the next month, especially with Napier's going to do all his recruiting now, and he's got a lot of holes to fill. He's got 7 or 8 commits from the early signing period. And so I think Napier's going to be making a lot of moves going forward. I think most of it will be with the transfer portal, and we'll continue to give you guys content on the Gator and the SEC channel. But you won't know unless you hit that subscribe and that bell. And you can see there, Dylan Denmark, that's my Twitter handle, at Dylan_Denmark. Host of On the Mark with Denmark on YouTube as well. Trying to go through Twitter, see if there's anything from the post game, as looks like players are still out on the field. Hey, Damian Pierce went through the fans. I guess he was going to his family probably. This is interesting. Lorenzo Lingard, one of the backups for Florida, running back. He tweeted this out 23 minutes ago. He said, "If you know something, let me know. Tired of getting did dirty when all I want to do is win." A lot of these Florida players have been emotional. You can't Florida. You have to. You have to stay off social media when you're emotional. I mean, we saw, who was it? I think Anthony Richardson took everything off of Florida after one game. There was another player that said something after one game recently in November, and then you have Lingard, who just said that. I don't know. Lingard's a guy that left Miami. If you don't know, he came to Florida. But I'm trying to read through this. But yeah. Yeah, 2 5-stars. Think about that. The thing to me was, if we go back to camp, Dan Mullen said, one, Emory Jones has a rocket arm. Dude never showed it all year. Dan Mullen said all camp, all summer, SEC media days, whatever, that he was going to use 2 backs in the backfield. He did that a little bit in the first game of the season against FAU and then never showed it again. We're talking about a running back group with Damian Pierce, experience, Malik Davis, 5th-year senior, Bowman. It looked like he was really good in camp from the sounds of it, and Lingard. And Lingard and Bowman never played. So I don't know. Guys, if you have any more final questions or comments, go ahead and drop them now. When it comes to Florida in the game tonight between Central Florida, Central Florida comes out on top. The game meant more to them. As this is pretty much the epitome of what Florida season was like. Finished 6-7, barely got a bowl after beating FSU. They just weren't able to make plays on offense or defense. Offensively in the first half was really good. They were able to run the ball, and then they went away from it in the second half. If you're just wondering this, I've continued to say that Pierce got no more than 10 touches in a game except for once against FSU all year. He had 8 touches in the first quarter, 3 in the second, and then 3 in the second half. Completely went away with that. Malik Davis got a couple of touches in the second half. That was fine. But, I mean, it was just no consistency. I mean, at the start of the game, Florida starts with 3 passes, and then they go 3 runs, and then they finally got something going. They led 17-16 middle of the second quarter, and then Central Florida hits a deep ball that was on Travis Johnson. When he fell, that gave Central Florida, I think it was 23-16. Penalties, yeah, Hudson. Penalties, 85 yards in penalties. The one thing that stuck out was Florida should have recovered the onside kick. Well, it wasn't really an onside, but it hits off the helmet of the Central Florida player on the front line at the 40. It rolls right past 3 Florida players, and then Florida gets a personal foul on Dexter, and then right after that, a pass interference. Not long after that, I think Central Florida ended up kicking a field goal, if I'm not mistaken. You just can't do that in these type of close games. And, you know, when you add up the penalties, when you add up the missed plays, when you add up the big plays that Florida gave up, that's just not a recipe for success. As I think that'll do it. 11:30, past my bedtime. Kind of, sort of, not really. As this is about a 45-minute show. If you guys missed any of the show before, it's always archived at the SEC and the Gator channel. As this is the final one, the Gators final report, to wrap up the 2021 season. Not the season that Florida expected, but a lot of optimism going forward with Napier, and we'll see what Napier has in store going forward. Who was the hurt player? That was Justin Short. That was one of Florida's their big receivers. He got a couple of nice plays tonight. Only thing I know is that he was talking to the medical staff. They didn't really show him when he got hurt. They showed everything else around him. It didn't look good, but hopefully he's okay. That's the only status that there is right now. LSU fan Hudson again. He said he was really angry that UF got Napier. Yeah, Napier didn't even get an interview for LSU, so I'm really interested to see what that's like going forward, because Napier's a dude that was offered the South Carolina, the Auburn. There was a couple other head coaches. I think the Baylor job, possibly, if I'm not mistaken. And there was another SEC school that he did not take, that he was offered. He said he was waiting for the right opportunity. And pretty much even people at Louisiana knew that before Dan Mullen got fired and was let go, the Louisiana play-by-play voice, who has a pretty good relationship with Napier, said that when he saw Sanford scored 50-plus against Florida, he said that he knew that Napier was going to take that job. And Napier's not a guy that takes a job for money. Napier apparently is a dude that goes to fit, and hopefully this is a good fit for Napier. I mean, I can only imagine, speak for most Florida fans, that they're tired of coaches coming in and out of there every 4 or 5 years. When it's, Meyer was there for 6 and won 2 titles, but then it's been Muschamp when he was there for 5, and then McElwain was there for 2.5, I think, and then Mullen was there for he's been 18, 19, 20, 3.5. You're getting a brand new facility that's supposed to open up in June. It's supposed to be state of the art, one of the best in the country. And keeping these recruits in state. Napier's done something. Napier did something in 10 days that McElwain, Mullen, and Muschamp couldn't do, and that's get a 5-star to IMG. Now he gets credit for it, but really it's Corey Raymond, the DB coach, who was already talking to him when he was at LSU and then came to Florida. So that's going to be the biggest game, and it's going to be a lot harder to recruit in the state of Florida. You have Cristobal, who's an excellent recruiter. You can say what you want about, his coaching style and what he was able to do at Oregon with wins and losses, but the dude can recruit. An isolated Pac-12 up in Oregon, he got Kayvon Thibodeau, the number 1 recruit in the country. So it looks like a lot of those guys down in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County are all going to stay in Miami like Cristobal was. And then you have Norvell. Norvell just had a really good recruiting class, even though Florida State went 5-7. That was really good for Florida State. And I hope it's like that. I'm not old enough to remember, but in the 90s, everybody in the state of Florida was trying to go to Florida State, Miami, and all those coaches were trying to grab all these players, and it was fun. It was competition. And now you have Ohio State coming in and snagging players like the Bosa brothers and the Sean Wades in Jacksonville, Tyreek Johnson, Crowley. Clemson's getting players. Alabama has gotten more 5-stars. Alabama's gotten more 5-stars since 2016 in the state of Florida than Florida State, and Miami combined. Hopefully that changes. I think it will. And, people want to talk about parity and Alabama dominating, staying up top. It starts at home. Florida hasn't kept their guys at home. Florida State hasn't kept their guys at home. Miami hasn't kept their guys at home. If those 3 schools are able to do that, and obviously you can't keep all of them, but if you're able to keep a majority of them, I mean, if you circle, I'll just speak for Florida, a 150 mile circle around Gainesville, that's Jacksonville, that's Tallahassee, that's Tampa, that's Orlando, that's Daytona. I mean, that's pretty much more than half of the state, but that's all proximity. That's all dudes that are right there. And IMG, yes, they're not really a high school, but I mean, IMG is what? 2 hours from Florida? I mean, if it were up to me, I would have an assistant coach going there every single day. And it looks like that's changed a little bit since they got the safety, the 5-star. And the way the defensive backs have played from the safety position. Wilcox, I think that's his name. I literally lost my mind. Escaped my mind. He looked like he should be getting a lot of playing time from year 1. Yeah. I just explained Saban having to stay out of Florida, getting more 5-stars on Florida State, and Miami combined. LSU and Florida, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That the format will change when Oklahoma and Texas go to the SEC. And that's going to be a lot sooner than later. I think the contract for Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12 is supposed to be like 25. That's when the contract is supposed to end. Oklahoma and Texas will both be in the SEC before then. It wouldn't surprise me if Oklahoma and Texas were in the SEC starting next year. And that happens one or two ways. The ADs go to Bob Bowlesby. The the Big 12 commissioner, and they do one of three things. They go, 1, Oklahoma and Texas pay the buyout. 2, Oklahoma and Texas agree to a different buyout. Or 3, the Big 12 lets Oklahoma and Texas walk. The only thing about the Big 12 with Oklahoma and Texas leaving is then the Big 12 is left with 8 teams, and then they're waiting for Central Florida, Houston, Cincinnati, and I forget the other team. Houston, Cincinnati, Central Florida. I think it's Memphis. So, correct me if I'm wrong. All going to the Big 12. When does that happen? Because this whole thing about, Oklahoma dominating, they didn't win the Big 12 this year, but that's the only thing people keep talking about. What must be done eventually must be done immediately. And, if you're just going to let that hang over your head, just go ahead and do it and get it done with, because Oklahoma knows where they're going to be. Texas knows where they're going to be. And, that's what the future is going to be like. So, yeah. That'll do it for the final game for Florida as they lose to UCF. Finished 6-7 is epitome of what Florida's season was like. But we turn a new chapter. Billy Napier is the new head coach, as he's still getting his staff. He's going to get most of his recruiting done within the next month and a half. I believe it'll be mostly transfer portal. And we shall see. You got to get depth at both lines of scrimmage. You have to get receivers, playmakers on the outside. You have to find linebackers, and you have to find, probably a corner with Elam leaving and a decent safety. So that's where Florida's at. This is the Gators Final Report. Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up at the Gator and the SEC channel, the voice of college football. For me, Dylan Denmark, on a Christmas Eve. Hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. And you guys be safe as we will continue dropping content. Me, Mark Rogers, and Gator Dave. You can catch my Twitter handle right there at Dylan_Denmark. For me, signing off for the final time in 2021. Peace.